The former president of Nigeria recently commissioned the Dangote Petroleum Refinery and Petrochemicals in the presence of notable dignitaries, including a ton of African presidents. Even though he was soon to hand over power, the outgoing president ensured that he commissioned the refinery before he left office. And who can blame him? The refinery is said to be the world's largest single-train refinery with incredible capabilities. It is only natural that he would like his time in office to be associated with this achievement. But is there more to the story of the Dangote Refinery than Nigerians are being made to believe? Well, the answer may shock you. At this point, you've probably heard about all the great things regarding the Dangote Refinery. It is the world's largest single-train refinery. It can produce more than 600,000 barrels per day. It can serve all of the country's petroleum needs, including 53 million liters per day of gasoline, 34 million liters per day of diesel, 10 million liters per day of kerosene, and 2 million liters per day of aviation jet fuel. And it can do all this while leaving enough surplus for export. Finally, Nigerians will be free from the burden of having to import petroleum. The country will henceforth be saved from doom and disgrace and finally become a serious nation. As a result of all of these, millions of Nigerians are currently celebrating the refinery and jubilating like there is no tomorrow. There are some, however, that are more skeptical and they are keeping their celebrations in check. Given the country's history, it is hard not to think that the second group are the more sane group. So, why exactly are they being skeptical? Is it just because Nigerians are grumpy people who can't be happy about anything, or because there really is serious reasons to be in doubt? Well, before we go into that, it is worth wondering how all of this came to be in the first place. For instance, we know about all of the great things that the refinery supposedly can do, but how much exactly did it cost to build and where did the money come from? Well, interestingly enough, the Dangote Refinery was supposed to cost about $9 billion, $3 billion of which was supposed to be invested by the Dangote Group who owns the refinery, and then the rest was supposed to come from commercial loans. Because this is Nigeria and nothing ever goes to plan, the project was postponed and delayed by years and the cost skyrocketed. Fast forward to 2018 and the project was estimated to cost up to $15 billion in total. $10 billion of this will be invested in the refinery, $2.5 billion in the fertilizer factory and another $2.5 billion in the pipeline infrastructure. In the end, the project was said to have cost $19 billion in total. Where did the money come from? Well, as one would expect, the central bank governor revealed that Dangote Group itself accounted for 50% equity investment, while the additional 50% was financed through debt. What's more, seeing as the cost skyrocketed due to the foreign exchange situation in Nigeria, the central bank had to step in and contribute about $125 billion to, quote, cover domestic currency requirements for the venture. The state-owned Nigerian Petroleum Company Limited (NNPC) also spent $2.7 billion for a 20% stake in the refinery. So, we know now where the money comes from Dangote Group, domestic and foreign banks, and of course, from you and me. But there was a problem. From the beginning, Dangote Group estimated that the refinery would be mechanically complete in late 2019 and commissioned in early 2020. But Reuters reported that the project was taking much longer than expected and that partial refinery capability would not be achieved until 2022. Of course, now we know that the report was right. Some experts believe, however, that even though the project was indeed launched and commissioned in 2023, and Dangote did claim that production will start in July 2023, despite all of this, the refinery is not ready. Equipment are still being expected to be delivered by their manufacturers, while those that had been delivered were yet to pass integrity tests at the point of commissioning. So why would Dangote Group and the government lie about the readiness of the refinery? Well, for one thing, as mentioned earlier, the previous government needed glory. Nigeria is notorious for being a crude oil-rich country that can't even produce its own fuel. All of the 4 refineries of the state-owned NNPC are idle and incapable of processing crude oil. The refinery would be a big win and the president wanted it launched before he left office. But it doesn't just end there. Fitch Ratings noted that with the refinery's start date having been postponed 3 times in 4 years, investor confidence has started to diminish and would diminish even further if operations didn't begin in 2023. But again, it doesn't just end there. The biggest conspiracy of all is that the Dangote Group is well aware that the refinery will not be capable of producing at the capacity specified for a long time. That is, it will not be able to meet all of Nigerians' petroleum and refined products demand as the company claimed. Instead, the company plans to generate an artificial monopoly for itself by lobbying for the country to ban all petroleum imports, but in the process, securing exclusive rights to be the only one who can import petroleum into the country whenever the Dangote Refinery is unable to meet the demand for one reason or another. What lends credibility to this conspiracy, however, is the fact that on the 21st of June 2023, a report came out that Dangote Refinery had just been given the right to import petroleum into the country. Some reports even claimed that the grants were exclusive, that is, only Dangote can import. So if the rumors are true, Dangote Refinery is not ready to start production, but the company still gets to be the only one who can import petroleum into the country and sell to retailers. So why would the richest man in Africa need exclusive permits to import petrol into the country when he already has a refinery that was supposed to stop Nigerians from having to import petroleum products into the country in the first place? It makes no sense, right? Well, some people in the Nigerian House of Representatives thought so as well and put up a motion to repeal the permit. But of course, the motion failed as it was voted strongly against in the House. So again, if the talks are true, Dangote will start supplying retailers with imported fuel using their import license. Maybe in the process, we'll hear that the Dangote Refinery begins production, even though it hasn't. Sometimes, conspiracies are to be taken lightly with no seriousness whatsoever. But given the fact that this is not the first time this kind of thing is happening in the country, it is hard not to take this one seriously. What are your thoughts on the refinery? Do you think it's exactly what is promised or there is more to the tale? Let us know in the comments below. And as usual, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. See you in the next video.